Take it away, Evelyn.
Right. Okay, you're gonna see me doing this because I have dual monitors. So welcome everyone. I'm gonna start with, as you all know, we adopted a statement that all the trustees are abiding to, and we are making a statement on the opening of every meeting. So I'm gonna start reading the statement. So the trustees of the Boston Public Library reaffirm, and I'll promise to memorize it. Reaffirm our commitment to racial equity and to principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion more broadly. The library is formally committed to becoming an anti-racist organization in response to the systemic racism, inequity, and injustice prevalent in our society. We acknowledge also that the Boston Public Library Central Library stands on land that was once water-based ecosystem, providing sustenance for the indigenous Massachusetts people, and is a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange among nations. We are committed to land acknowledgements for all locations at which we operate. We affirm this commitment to set the context for our planning, deliberations, and public engagement will take place from the spirit of welcome and respect found in our motto, free to all. All right. So roll call. Ms. Pamela, please.
Or thank you. I'm going to just call last names to make it go quicker, if that's okay with everybody. Arana Ortiz.
Yes.
Foley.
Here.
Knight is not here. Medium.
Here.
Shaw. And Tyler.
Yeah.
Here, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, it's approval of the minutes. Hoping that everybody had a chance to review, and if so, can I please get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Can one of the other members, Shay
One of the
or
members need
Chiner,
to-
second it, or?
Second,
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, roll call?
It is Arana Ortiz,
Yes.
Foley,
Yes.
Maydoun,
Yes.
and Tyler.
yes.
All set. Thank you, Evelyn.
All right, quick review of the hefty budget that we got so far. Jay, does Jay have a copy of
Does
that?
not, no, he doesn't have it. I was hoping you would just verbalize it. I can send it
okay.
to everybody if they want to see the itemized, but
Yeah, we'll send that forward. So currently the distribution for this upcoming year, because we've had a great year in investments, it's $103,010.83. So 103,010.83 with a carryover of 139,929 with 35 cents for a total available for FY22 of 242,940 with 18 cents. Okay, so that's what we got. We got money to spend this year. With the big bash of the new library, it's like beautiful. Any questions around that? No? Okay, moving forward. Priscilla, can we get an update?
So maybe, I don't know if it's gonna work on this side.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to say that we were really fortunate to have such dedicated library staff throughout the last year doing BPL to go at our branch locations. And then we had some staff that were actually on site at Central doing computer use in person, which was really exciting. As of June 1st, the Central Library was open, and they've been getting a ton of people coming in and being really excited to be back inside. We reopened the branches officially yesterday. Monday, June 14th. And the rainy weather kept people away for the morning. But then by the afternoon, we had lots of families coming in, and it was slow, but it was exciting to see the locations returning services and seeing people on the computer and seeing kids check out books. The staff did an amazing job reopening and preparing each location to be open to the public. And as of right now, we are allowing all patrons to come in, use the computers. We're welcoming all, rather, patrons to come in, use the computers, check out books. And we're looking forward to doing in-person programming later on in the year. Right now, we're either doing programming that is outside or still some of our programming is still virtual. Any questions so far? Okay, thank you.
No questions? All right. All right, Candelaria.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to reiterate for anybody who might not have heard, I have a fever and a very bad cold. So I will go off screen if I have a big coughing jag. I can't control it. I'm sorry. It's just what's going on. I had sent everybody a spreadsheet, and there are a few things to add to the spreadsheet, but I'll just quickly just share. It was a spreadsheet that had the list of people who had actually attended the sessions. And as I go through, I'll tell you if they attended the technical assistance session, if there's new applicant or not. And then I had added, and I didn't send this to you last night, proposals that were not submitted. There were people, two people who attended the technical assistance sessions that did not ultimately submit proposals, and that was Napoleon Jones Henderson, who's an individual and artist who lives at Roxbury. He did attend a session, but he decided not to apply. Marcia Buttman from the Roxbury Historical Society, and that was given an extension that I thought may help them, but they decided not to apply. Denise Washington with poetry decided not to apply this time. And the Bach Center, they had written me back, and I'd asked Diana if they could, they wrote well after the deadline, well after I had reminded them and checked in with them and said, I haven't heard anything from you, that they were down to a staff of one and they just did not have the capacity. So when they wrote me maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, I asked Diana, she said, yes, invite them back. I wrote them to say, if you think you can do something. They couldn't do the youth producing change kind of conference they did before, but they said they might do something with spoken word or something, and I didn't hear from them. So they didn't submit anything for this time. So I'm going to start. I don't know if any of you all have the chart of proposals.
Yes.
Okay, so
Would you like me to screen share this?
Yes. Thank
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, so I want to go in the order of the chart. The first one proposal came from Jacqueline Johnson, and she's an individual. The amount she's requesting is $1,630. She's never applied before. She did do a notice of intent. And she was another one that was given a slight extension, and it worked. And she's really talking about a collage workshop. She is a graphic designer who lives in Roxbury. I've actually known her for several years. One, she's a member of the Friends of the Dudley Library, but before that, I knew her as a graphic designer and have hired her to do graphic design, both for the Roxbury Literary Annual, for the Holiday Shopping Guide, and for a program I worked for called Door to Door to the Arts. So that's the background that I know her as. She wants to do a workshop with elementary school children, grades 3 to 5, from grades 3rd grade to 5th grade, with a focus on African-American women artists, African-American artists and women artists. She did a similar program like this at the Mary Baker Eddy Library for 2 years. It would be 2 hours. The children would attend with their parents. It has a hands-on activity. It will give combined storytelling and the history of the artist. and that she plans to have guest artists as well, 1 or 2 guest artists. The library involvement would include book displays, encouraging kids who don't have them and parents to get a library card, and then she'll do a survey evaluation. Her time, she already talked to Felicia Harris who's the children's librarian at the branch, would be 10 to 12, and she's thinking of having it during April vacation week or on a Saturday during Women's History Month. And I thought that her outreach plan was fine. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments about her. Or about the grant.
I just want to say, I like the, that it's parents and kids. I thought that was a really nice way to sort of engage as a multi-generational program. I thought that was great.
Yeah. Yes, Representative Tyler.
Hi, Candelaria. First of all, I hope that you feel well, and I hope that you definitely take the time off as needed. If you're not feeling well, and we support you. Let us know what you need. I just want to say the same thing. I echo those comments. I appreciate this. A lot of the times, parents are the first teachers of their children, and that interaction is definitely something that I would be definitely happy to support. So I love that, and I love that it's during April vacation, which was one of the proposals. Not a lot's going on during vacation times for parents, and whatever you can do interactive with your children is an amazing opportunity. So I like this one so far, from what I understand.
Okay.
Thank
So yes,
Candelaria,
mm-hmm.
I liked it. I liked it as well, and I was very tickled that she had already spoken to the children's librarian. But I did have one question, and I don't know if it's because I read it too fast. I thought it looked like the request on the cover sheet was 1,630.
Yes.
Then the budget says 3,286.
Yes. Yes.
So I got
There's
confused.
a difference. That was a mistake. She's proposing
Okay.
to do 2 of them. And so that was the internal budget was right. It was the cover sheet was wrong.
Okay. Thank you.
So I don't know if there's any more discussion. Do we want to vote on this one, or do we want to go through the whole list and then decide?
No, I think we have consensus. So
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll say yes.
We say anybody, we don't need to do roll call for every single one. So, right, Pamela? Because it will be painful. Okay, so I'm gonna say anybody opposed this is what I'm gonna say. So Shay, it sounds like I got positive comments. So if we don't get any opposed, we will.
It looks like Representative China, you have your hand up.
No, I meant to put it down. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the next one is the Take Back the Kitchen classes from the Haley House. And they are an applicant who's applied before and has been previously funded by us. They're proposing 4 classes for families. The families can come to each class, or they can come as they pick and choose. 4 classes for senior citizens. They're proposing hybrid instruction. And they started doing these kinds of classes in 2006. Professional trained chefs teach the classes. They both prepare dishes in the class and people taste. The library involvement, they would say, would be with a cookbook display, and that they would hope that they will be able to have each family take home a small potted herb from one of their farming sites in the community. For the senior citizens, they'll talk a lot about diet-related concerns of older adults. I observed both the family sessions and the sessions with senior citizens, both when they were in person and in hybrid. And with the senior citizens, a lot of concerns came up around salt and stuff. And I remember one of the wins was teaching people how to make their own salad dressing. That was a win both for the senior citizens group and for the family group, because the kids really like having a little jar and shaking up the healthy ingredients. And the seniors had just not known that it was that easy. Another big hit with the seniors, and Falani Haynes was the instructor, was talking about the salt content. And so they did a tuna dish that didn't have mayonnaise. And virtually everybody in the class was used to canned tuna dishes that had mayonnaise. So the idea that there was something they could like that was healthier, and they all said, I'm going to share this with, XYZ person won't believe this. So I could see in the immediacy of the tasting that it's a very popular and useful program. They plan to start in October with families in early evening or weekend, and with seniors, they would do a week in the afternoon. They have an extensive network and social media outreach. So in terms of reaching the classes, reaching the constituents, and they did modify making the family classes be standalone single sessions and not requiring that people come to all four, as being more conducive to families being able to attend. And they have one new chef for the family classes. That's not somebody who's taught any of the classes before, but one experience for the seniors, which is Fulani Haynes, who's a community resident and nurse, was a long-term time nurse and familiar to people. So I don't know if there's any other discussion.
And I see that they're taking a hybrid approach as well.
Yes. We were asked, in our last
so
meeting,
that's
you
good.
asked me to ask people
Yep.
to have those things. So they said they would be very, very excited to be in our kitchen, in the new kitchen at the Roxbury branch, but they could also do it hybrid, and they want to do sort of both, because that might make people who can't come into a session still be able to access it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that'd be exciting experiment.
And I think that flexibility will help, like with, especially if they're standalone, and then, not to be like anybody that has that parent guilt when you forget something and you need to, you forgot a class you were supposed to go to. So it's nice that they're not going to be missing out if they're, unable to go for some reason, or if someone is sick. I think that bringing them in to actually use that amazing kitchen, which when you walk right into the branch, you'll be able to see, when you go into the branch, you'll be able to see them actually in the space, which would be really exciting for the community and patrons. And then they'd be able to go to the desk and say, when's that next class? So I think it's going to advertise itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it looks like everybody's a thumbs up.
Any objections to Haley House? Their programs have been very popular in the past. Any objections? No objections? Okay, moving on. Joe Pereira.
This next one I was particularly excited to read. This gentleman, Gil Ferreira from Bite Size Labs. He did attend one of the sessions. He's a new applicant. And I was excited because he's teaching youth to code. He's proposing, his request is for $5,280, teaching youth ages 13 to 19. He speaks English, Portuguese, and Spanish. So he said he could do instruction in other languages. He has 13 plus years experience in IT. I liked him giving the story about how he tinkered as a young person. He will teach them how to code and have a professional level website, many projects with graphic design, engineering, etc., computer science. The final project will be a website that can search for books in the Roxbury branch. Particularly, I thought that was a real clever and specific use of tying it into the library, and guide user to the right section of the Roxbury branch and using an animated map. I also like the fact that he talked about he would share a career path in terms of using IT. He's worked at both Northeastern University and Georgia Tech. I mean, he got his degrees from Northeastern University, his bachelor's, and Georgia Tech. And he's worked professionally at Best Buy and Ricoh, not in retail though. Has worked with teens before. The schedule he's proposing is Wednesdays from 4 to 6, which is a good time for after school, Saturdays from 10 to 12, and he would use the small conference room or the learning lab. I think the marketing plan was fine, and he had a reasonable budget. So I was excited by this again because it's teaching coding, it's teaching a specific skill. He definitely, I thought, tied it well to the Roxbury Branch Library. So I don't know what other discussion you all might want to have.
I have to say that that was the most exciting for me, coming from computer science and then getting, you know, kids to learn how to code. And I did research because I was getting concerned about, okay, what software is he going to use? How's he going to do it? And then I did research on what he's using, and it's a cloud-based, so we don't need to install anything. So I'm super excited about that just because I'm a geek for computers. So any comments?
I was excited as well because those programs, the coding programs in the system are so popular. And so it was really great to just see this other, you know, another step way that we can connect in with the teams in the neighborhood. And this is also reflecting of Candelaria with the branch staff. And so this is something that they had been interested in expanding.
Madam
No,
Chair,
go
I'd like
ahead.
to make a comment. Thank you. I'd like to make a comment on this. This is exactly what we mean when we say, well, when I was making a comment a couple of months ago, talking about closing the summer learning gap, this opportunity will set our kids up for success should they wish to go on to the workforce with the skill that they already have prepared prior to entering the real world. And I appreciate this opportunity. I think that parents will also.
No, I just wanted to add how important it is for our young people to learn about coding. You know, so often, you know, this is not happening with our children. So, you know, I want to see this program expand as we move on, and maybe they'll be able to offer, you know, this more often, say in future years. Yeah.
This is super, super cool as far as I'm concerned. But, and so no objections, I'm taking. All right.
And the other thing I'll just say real quickly is that I have a robust list of information for teens, young adults, and children. So I will send it out to all the lists that I've cut my database of that. And so I know that we will get. And he doesn't want it to be too full so that the kids can really get the teaching that they know. But I think it is something that I'm hoping will go well and can be replicated. The next proposal is from Benita Jones, who has been funded by us before. She's does the mindfulness-based stress reduction. This is called meditation and mindfulness. She's asking for $6,000. Her scheduling would be fall of 2021 from October to March, and then spring from April to the end of May. 6 2-hour sessions for 12 sessions, basic to advanced. They'll talk about, or she'll instruct in breathing, body awareness, trauma sensitive mindfulness, etc. What she's changed from previous proposals is that she doesn't have a real lengthy intake process. She's, I think because of the experience of doing it in Roxbury, she may realize that now she doesn't need to do as much of that front loading as she used to try to do. She said the space would be in the lecture hall. She can do virtual or hybrid program. She is a certified instructor. She does know the marketing to do it. And again, for those of you who may not be aware, I help with marketing all the programs. I do put them up on our Friends of the Dudley branch. I often will promote those and pay a small fee to do that, as well as the database of people who've attended previous programs, as well as my own database from all the programs that I work with. And she had references from the Lewis Brown Peace Institute that she's worked with, the BU School of Medicine, and the resume of and she also had a resume of a co-teacher that she uses, because depending on how many people she gets, she says she can have up to from 15 to 25 in person and up to 100 if the program is done virtually. I know this is being recorded. Previously, I have had difficult challenges with this grantee in getting responses to communication and getting final reports at the very last minute, despite being given a lot of notifications. So I'm hoping that that will not be something that I will have to experience again. And I'm getting ready to go off because I'm ready to cough.
Cough attack. Jay, do you remember trying to remember prior attendance of her programs?
It was not that large. That she's proposing.
The first couple of sessions, the first year that was funded, it did have incredible amount of attendance. The last time it was run, when it was run off-site, it was run at the First Church in Roxbury, the parish hall. There was less attendance, but it was very meaningful for the people who were there. So I think there were about 8 to 10 people the times that I went up, saw it. She did it at Northeastern Crossing, which is at Northeastern University. And that was another one that had maybe around 12 or 14 people. So it's one of those things that it's hard to know because she did the same things in terms of reaching out to people. So that's what I'll say.
Can we hold this one since we have 2 towards the end that have similar types of activities? You know,
Sure.
I know one is dance based, but yeah, and the other one's, art based, but yeah, could we hold this one?
Okay. That's good for me. I don't know about the rest of you. Okay, so I would go to the next one is from Arts Emerson. And this is a returning grant. Somebody say something? Oh, okay. The Play Reading Book Club, many of you who were here remember that we funded them when the idea was just, something in Akiba's wheelhouse, and we funded it the first time. It happened to be the Snowmageddon winter where we had incredible snowstorms, and this was on a Saturday for 3 hours, and we never had less than 30 people attend, and we often had more. It has repeated. So it started, if we funded this, it will be in their 8th year. They started in 2014. The model is that they do play exploration over 5 sessions that run from 4 to 5 weeks. They read aloud the script with a teaching artist from Arts Emerson, usually a graduate student. There's a discussion. Then they attend a play or presentation. They usually, when they attend the play or presentation, there's either a dinner or a reception. They get to meet with some of the artists. Sometimes it's the director, sometimes it's the playwright, sometimes it's actors and other backstage people. Sometimes it's all of them. And then they come back, they discuss what they saw compared to what they read, and they decide either to do a part of the play or sometimes the full play in a stage reading as a community showcase. Previously, all the plays were, tickets to the plays were given to Play Reading Book Club members for free. Now they're charging $25. But if someone can't afford that, they definitely, they have 2 things. They have one, if you call by a certain time, it's $10. It's a general policy they have, and then they have given tickets for free. They would use the Roxbury Branch Community Room. They will prioritize new members while also encouraging returnees. So one of the problems that they had is that they didn't want it to seem like a closed community, because the people who really liked it from the first session in 2014 came to subsequent sessions. They've even come to other places. So they're now doing it at places in JP, at the Parker Hill Library. And one of the things that happened during the pandemic was that there were people from Eggleston, when they had it at Eggleston, who got to meet people from the Roxbury branch. When they had it at Parker Hill, that people who didn't necessarily interact. So that kind of interaction they really liked. And even though they did it in the suburbs, a few suburban people actually came into the branches because they thought the discussion was more robust by having the diversity. So one of the ways they encourage new members is they open the registration up first to a wider network, and let new people register before they let people who've come for a long time, again, because they don't want to fill up the 35 slots with people who've come and come and come and come. They listed 4 events they're doing. The first one was incredibly, I don't know if any of you all checked it out, but it's Iphigenia by Esmeralda Spalding and Wayne Shorter. So that really knocked my socks off that they were going to be involved. And they have incredible outreach. They had really good letters of support, including from a librarian at the Eggleston branch. And Miss Esther Jackson, who is a community person who used to come to everything that happened at Dudley. She's now discovered the Eggleston branch and comes to their, started coming to their events. And Linda Marshall Bibby, who's a friend of the Dudley Library member, she wrote a letter of support, and she's been somebody who's been a part of the book club. I'm looking here, they're saying that they can serve ages 13 up, and they will assess if there's particularly violent or sexually explicit content in the play, and if there is, they won't admit people under the age of 18. And they're aiming for 30 people maximum. So they're asking for 6,000 of a program that costs 9,000, they say, to administer. They've been phenomenal when they've done everything. The only thing that they didn't have success with was when they were, uneven success was when they were trying to do a youth play reading book club. But the adult one has been very, very well received and attended.
Candelaria, I'm glad you brought up the youth, because that was one of my questions, because it does say in the proposal, ages 13 and up, but I didn't see anything in the rest of the narrative or in the budget that indicated that our would be going towards the 13 and up, the 13 to 18. So I didn't know if that meant they were going to have 13-year-olds coming as part of the 35 sign up, or if that was just because, you know, when you're rushing, you sometimes forget to change things in your proposal.
I think they're saying that they thought most of the plays would be appropriate, but if there was something that had content that wasn't appropriate, in general, there are a couple of people who want their children, have wanted their teen children to come with them. So I know that was part of that response.
If it's funded, I would just like to see a little bit more clarity around what they hope to do with that. That's all. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but yeah.
Okay, so I should ask them to give clarity about teen attendance.
Yeah, it's right. Like you said, they didn't do success. They weren't successful when they had a separate one for them. And so while they plan to invite them to be a part of the session, the adults, yeah.
Okay.
So they're not, I need to understand. So the intent is to have, I'm going to call it commingled, all right, although that's not the right word. So they're like, you know, it's just open sessions. They're not dedicated sessions to age group, right?
No.
Is that what you mean, Shay? Okay.
So I'll ask for clarity around that. And to be honest with you, I don't think that they will attract teens. When I was reading what the plays were about, there was nothing that would stand out to get youth. I think it was more trying to be responsive and you know, particularly to some of the parents, but I will ask for that clarity.
Yeah, I don't see a place to be like something that would attract teens. But these are popular in nature. Normally, they're very well attended. Okay, so is that a hold or is that a yes waiting clarification? Shay.
My perception is that it's a yes, that it seems like a program that does well and that we would want to continue.
So
We definitely, yeah, we want to continue it. I don't know if we need to hold it for the answer. I don't know, but I'm not,
okay.
yeah.
All right, just asking. You just want clarification. All right. Any abstentions or any objections to the program? Okay. All right, moving on right along.
Okay, so the next one is from Joel McCall, and he has two different proposals. First of all, he's a returning grantee. He did attend the technical assistance session. I believe he did. Let me just look. And he did do a notice of intent. He's proposing two things. One is new, is an African-American history teaching series, and that it would cover Juneteenth, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and Kwanzaa in an authentic way, as he says. And that one's for $2,903.30. I'm sorry, that's for $3,000. and $96.38. And then a genealogy boot camp, which he has done genealogy, tracing our root sessions before. And those would be for adults. The teaching series would be for people ages 15 up, and it would be 2 hours in length. The genealogy boot camp is from 10 to 3, and he will utilize BPL resources, and he will help people who are new to doing a genealogical research or refine them. He had good recommendation letters, one from another place that he works at, in Warren Gardens. He's done programs for the Dudley branch, for Walden Square Computer Center, which is one of the places he got a reference letter from Cobden Square Health Center, and with Northeastern Crossing. He did programs during the pandemic at Freedom House, and I've gone to, he also used to do a smartphones class, which he didn't propose this time, which was very popular. His genealogy classes have been popular. He also did a business class that was popular that we funded. So he has good outreach, and people really like the things he does. And the idea of doing something around these major holidays in terms of the teaching series was something that I thought would be would be pretty strong and useful. And he said in terms of Juneteenth, obviously it would be for Juneteenth in 2022. So I'm sorry, I probably should have maybe separated them, but it just seemed like it sort of all goes together. He also does tours of Boston's hidden Black history, different sites on the waterfront, and Beacon Hill through Roxbury. So he's somebody who really is into, he's a Roxbury resident, really into Roxbury history, really into genealogy, really into working with community people, has a very good record working with young people, and a great track record working with senior citizens. And I really wish he had proposed smartphones again. I think it had to wear him out, because it wore me out when I would sit in on the session. But I know that it was very, very useful to the people who attended it. So he's a very caring person.
I know. And
So-
Pamela was looking forward to that class, so she could send her.
My parents both wanted to do it this time. I said, oh, wait, we offer that.
Well, maybe you can have them do personal coaching, because he's also done one-on-one coaching with some people who just couldn't get it in the class.
So, no, he's done well on those programs. I like the teaching series.
I think that's exciting, and looking to see, and he's so skilled. I think that he'd be able to pull in, definitely different age groups on them, and like having interested sophomores in high school engaging with other members of the community that are adults. I think it would be really, I think it would be really amazing to see that.
Also lives in Warren Gardens, which is a cooperative housing thing in Roxbury. So I know that he's been active with their resident association. So I think he might actually try to pull in some younger people and some of the residents from there, because he said that he told me once after one of the classes that the library was so close that he was surprised more people didn't come, so that he might do something where he'll have them tour, because it's a new branch, and maybe that'll get some people to come down that don't.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments? Any reservations in the program? All right, if not.
No, well, I just want to say one thing. It's Candelaria, since you brought up Warren Gardens, and I know Isabel also, because she's a small grant recipient. And so maybe he can work with her to bring beyond just the tour, but to bring folks from Warren Gardens to come to the program, I
Yeah.
tell him we want him to do that.
Yes, I will.
Okay. All right. Next. So no objections here.
So that's a yes.
Yeah, that's a yes.
Okay. The next one is Christina Iris Evans Ferreira. On your chart is Iris Evans Ferreira. She's an individual. She has not applied before. She did do a notice of intent. She did attend the technical assistance session, and she's proposing 3 cohorts. Let me see. 2 different programs. One is called Movers and Shakers. Let me go to that page. All right. Movers and Shakers is a request of 3,417. It would be for children's and families, and it would be in summer from July to August for 6 sessions. It could have as little as 2 or as many as 50 participants. She has certification in children's yoga, and I saw that she had training in accessible yoga for children. And so even though she doesn't mention it specifically in her narrative, one of the things that if she were funded, I would ask her is to make sure that she mentions that in any publicity, and certainly on the flyer, that's important, because I think parents of children who have accessibility challenges are always looking for places where their children can participate and feel welcome. She said she can provide, she did a session recently at Ronan Park in Dorchester, that the sessions will include movement, crafts, and storytelling. She said she could provide instruction for non-English learners through translated materials and visuals. She feels that her visual instruction, and she talked about this a little bit in the technical assistance session, that her visual instruction can overcome spoken language barriers. Her outreach includes the various community papers and Boston Compass, which I hadn't seen in anybody else's proposal, and I'm adding it to my list. And she said she would do promoted postings on Instagram and Facebook. She's aiming to build social emotional skills, and she had she has a person working with her whose resume she included, who would be doing the graphic design and administrative work. And I thought she gave a good outline of the sessions with the books that will be used. So that's that proposal. So shall we look at that one and then first, and then go to the other one, or should we talk about them both?
No, go through both.
Okay. So the next one is called, let's see, what is it called up here? Movement and journaling. This is for, can't read my writing. Let me go up here. $4,653. Oh, it was right. $4,653 dollars. Movement and class integration through activities and journal reflection. Again, she's a registered yoga teacher. This one is for adults. And there'd be 1 to 8, as few as 1, as many as 8 in the class. She's done yoga with individuals and corporate yoga, as well as community yoga. 20 minutes there'd be a group practice where they do yoga movement together, 20 minutes of journaling and 20 minutes of group discussion. And there'd be cohort 1, which would be on Tuesday nights from October 5th to November 30th. Again, the library, I don't think is open on those nights, so definitely the scheduling has to be looked at again for some of these. Cohort 2 would be on Monday nights, and I don't know if the library is open on Monday nights. That's something I'll have to find out, but they know they're going to have to go through the library, and that would be from January 10th to February 28th. And cohort 3 would be on, again, she's saying on Wednesday night, which obviously won't work, from March to April 12th. She has the same kind of marketing plan with 2 of the community papers. And I looked at her resume. She works locally with Four Corners Yoga, which is in Dorchester. And she also has done work with the Guild, which is a phenomenal space in Dorchester. And she had a couple, 4 letters of recommendation, some of which were more closely related and some of which not. And I noticed on her resume that she also is she does coaching or teaching for the Noom app. And I'm always getting the Noom app popping up on my my phone. So that's something that when I saw Noom, I said, oh, is that the Noom app? So I think that these are solid proposals. It doesn't sound like any of this is meditation in terms of the mindfulness stress reduction, but it is sort of meditative in that if you have people stopping and reflecting and doing journal after they've done movement, that's a different kind of thing, but it's not specifically designed for stress. It doesn't mention stress reduction in the proposal, as I remember. I know that a few years ago, we had Saturday yoga classes at the branch with a yoga instructor who did it with families. They never had huge numbers, but everybody who attended enjoyed it. So I think having family movement classes would be a great thing to do. So.
Yeah, I thought she had a good proposal put together. I was concerned about sort of overlapping with Bonita, but they're different in nature.
Yeah, Bonita doesn't teach yoga at all. Having
Yeah.
been through her classes, hers is strictly meditation, walking. You do some walking meditation, seated meditation. You can lie on the ground, do meditation, but she doesn't do any yoga poses or postures at all. So in that sense, they're very different.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Yeah, I do. Okay, I got all three of them here. So the Ferraria one, who with her, who's a yoga instructor. She's also doing what she calls embodied movement work, which is a part of somatic movement, which is where you are given like prompts to think about or different kinds of phrases, and then you move your body however it makes you want to move. So you're creating from yourself. And so that's one of the differences I see with hers. And that and then the other one, the full circle arts, which is Faith, she's actually looks like she's doing more visual art as part of her meditative exercises. So we've got one that's kind of doing physical visual art, one that's doing the movement, and then you have Bonita's. So I don't know if this is coming across as three different ways people can do this, or if it's kind of, I mean, because Laura said there's not any discussion around relaxation, but if you do the yoga correctly, it relaxes you, right? If you do somatic movement correctly, it relaxes you. If you're someone who enjoys painting, it relaxes you. So I don't know how we want to analyze that.
I mean, the way I see it is different. There are different ways of stress release, although she doesn't mention it as stress release, but it is. And then, so when it comes to that, it's not a one size fits all. Different people look for different things. So that's why I was thinking that it's different to Bonita and not overlapping.
What I would say, my concern as I was reading through the proposals is I don't want to give too much funding to relaxation, meditation, and all that. I don't think it would be necessarily beneficial to fund all 4 programs that do that, rather than to fund distinctive things. So I would say, looking at this proposal, I would say definite yes about funding the one for families, because I think that's a great need and a great thing to do. And I think looking for family programs is a great way to get parents and children into the library. What I would propose is maybe if we could vote on that particular one, and then after we've talked about Faith's proposal, then we can maybe go back and discuss between Bonita, Faith, and Iris, which ones of those we want to fund that are servicing adults, and are there good distinctions? Sorry.
What is China think?
Representative.
Well, if I go with my bias would say Christina because, I'm classically trained dancer. And any type of moving of the body, is something I support. But that would be putting my bias in there.
I would say I don't have a bias to anyone, but I know that's something that was very important that I brought up a couple of weeks ago, months ago. It's all one day at this point, but the last couple of meetings that we had was around making sure that we are focusing on those who are in the immediate geographic area and those who are court involved, which is a lot of folks in the immediate geographic area. And feel like the one that's oriented towards like more of the family is something that is, more friendly to that. So that would be, my shift if I were to pick one or the other. So yeah.
The other thing is that I also, and this just comes from being a funder and being a program manager for so long, when somebody's new, I tend to like to fund one program and what will be their most successful program and see how they do, rather than making a full commitment of everything they've proposed. But again, I think that if we can go back and maybe just decide if we think the family yoga, since Representative Tyler has voted for that, and Shay, maybe if we can decide on that one as a yes, and then we can go back and look at the next one, which is Faith has something similar, I believe.
She's the one she's doing visual arts.
So I'm having brain fog now. Okay, hold on. Creativity.
I mean, she put in there
meditation.
meditative exercise, which is a lot different than yoga and somatic movement.
Okay, so you all decide. Let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we have taken that approach before when we have a new person that, instead of going full in, it's like, okay, let's approve one, see how you do, and then we'll, figure out the rest. So I'm okay with that approach. It has worked for us before. So then the question is movers and shakers or movement and journaling? Which one do we want to approve?
Okay, see, now I'm confused because they both have journaling, meaning between Faith and Christina, or are we saying within Christina's?
No, Christina has two programs. So what we're saying is, can we approve one of them? And then let's make sure that it doesn't overlap with the other ones. So she's not doing meditation, she's doing.
I might have to abstain because when I guess when I read Christina's, I must have read it so fast. I did not see two programs, I saw one. So I'm going to abstain because I don't think I know what I'm voting on.
All right, so I'm going to go back to the proposals to see.
One was a movers and shakers program for families.
And who is
has
that?
Kids involved. That's Christina. Iris Evans Ferreira.
Okay.
And the other is movement and journaling. And that's specifically for adults, also by her. So it's two different programs.
Okay.
The summer one, the movers and shakers, she proposed as a summer program running from July to August in 6 sessions. And that would be with parents and children.
Okay.
I can also see that being a really welcome sort of like excuse to get into the air conditioning in the summer for the families and going, and because even though we think summer is it can still be very stressful, and like having that space and that time to be able to. My concern just with these is also the schedule, if it has to be at night for some reason, or if it can be looking at in another time.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because when parents do, if it's a family program, they want to do something during the day, because if the kids are not going anywhere.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something I can definitely give her instruction around, that we have funded this program, but we request that it be during the day.
Which means that puts it on a Saturday, correct?
Not necessarily.
Not
Depends on
necessarily.
the age group of the children and whether the parent works.
We can see what you can.
You know, the other thing, you know, back to China's comment about population she would like to see involved in this. Some of those young people are in programs that maybe they could actually reach out to and have them come as a program to participate in that. You know, I don't know.
Representative Tyler, your hand is up.
Yes, I just wanted to just make a quick comment about like the process that we're taking upon right now. So I feel like we have a lot of unanswered questions as to what exactly it is we're looking for. And I'm just concerned about the process in that sense. And I think I brought this up I know I brought this up in the past, like creating a rubric that's community oriented, like asking the community what they're looking for. And then based off of that, fulfill the slots with the different programs that we have before us. I just feel like there are so many questions in the air. And I just think that it's not a good space to be in, to have these questions kind of in the air. We should know what we're looking for and be able to kind of be more direct as to what we're looking for. So I'm just a little bit concerned about the process. That shouldn't stop today's meeting from going on. But I just want to just note that I'm just a little bit concerned about the process.
I don't understand that, and I will explain the process a little bit right now, if I may. We had the Friends of the Dudley Library talk about what kind of programs they wanted. We shared what the trustees said they wanted. We shared what the Roxbury branch staff said that they wanted. And then you open up the process, people apply. There was a technical assistance session, and then people who decide to follow up with an application incorporate some of what their expertise is to run a program. It has not worked any differently. And then you try to do a marketing plan once you fund something to put it out in the community in as many different ways you can so that people can know about it. So I think that right now for me that the proposals that she has given are quite reasonable. And then what we have to do is do the outreach to get the notice out that these programs are being offered, everything from flyering to ads to social media. And that's the way that we get the word out so that people know that this is a free program, that it's here. And in fact, we make sure that we put free on all of our advertisements. So that's sort of the way that it works.
If I could just provide some clarity around that, and that like when it comes to community process, I think that it's, most reasonable to be able to first ask individuals. I mean, I know that we had an opportunity to speak up, and I spoke up about Corey-friendly groups and things like that. And I know that we haven't finished going through all the programs, but I just don't see that reflected in here. So asking community members as individuals what they're looking for, and then create something or find programs based off of that. So I hear your commentary, I respect it, but I still am a little bit concerned as to, how we're responding to the immediate community's needs.
Okay, and one of the things that I would suggest, because I've been running community programs for more than 20 years, is we could have focus groups. Maybe we can decide in the fall or spring to have a focus group where people can talk about programs that they'd like to see at the library. And then that could be something that we do, but we've never, I think we end up reaching the same groups of people, but certainly that's something I'm willing to put on my calendar to do. Is to have a couple of scheduled groups that we do as a hybrid model. Both people can come to the library as well as people on Zoom, and just say, what are the kinds of programs you would like to see in your new branch? I think also, given the hastiness of the branch reopening, I mean, we couldn't, there's just a lot you can't do when you weren't even sure a month ago when the library branches were going to actually open again. So that's all I can say about that.
All right, so can I say something? We did, I hear you, Representative. So let's, for next year, before we close the branch for the renovations, there was a survey that was done in terms of what are the community programs that were needed. And especially we kind of look into that in terms of, what was the continued programming that we needed to do wants the branch, correct, Priscilla?
Yes, that's correct. And
Yeah, all right, so do you recall what was the, outcome of that, generally speaking?
I'm generally speaking, they were like looking for, family programs, and also sort of that education piece was there. And so they were there. What I'd like to sort of suggest, if this is, and yes, focus groups are fantastic, is looking, and maybe this is something that we do use, and would have to look at not trying to lead funds, but direct mailing postcards are actually not that expensive. And especially looking at making sure that we are targeting the immediate geographic area, that we could just get them, send postcards to that area. Everybody likes getting mail, and having people send them back to us, like what would you like to see? And I think that is something, because the neighborhood is changing, and people, if we're talking about areas that are nearby the branch that aren't necessarily using the branch, we can look at that as another sort of way to connect in. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, well, and what I was going to say, we also have the community engagement committee that it's coming up, and Representative, I think it's a good opportunity to ask those questions as part of that community engagement.
Absolutely. I think those are really great guides to, to work in correlation with this discussion. So I appreciate that, and thank you.
No, I appreciate it.
One thing I'd like to add, which is not about getting the feedback from community people, which is really more around, if we're going to have a rubric, the rubric is to help us rank the proposals when they come in. And those rankings would come from what's in the RFP. So if there's going to be some type of forum or that's going to bring in comments from community folks to talk about what they would like to see funded at the library, that would be reflected in that RFP. And then that RFP, we would take the important points from that, make a rubric out of it, and then we could use that to guide how we make decisions. So I don't want us to get those two things confused, because those are two different processes and two different needs that you have when you are doing grant work. Like Candelaria, I also am a funder as well. I work with the Raleigh Foundation.
Yeah, certainly we gave what the activities we'd like to see at the library. That was a document that was given with the RFP. That was a document that was gone over in the technical assistance section. So if we have the focus group and we add what the community wants, then we can create a rubric where we can check off and say it met this, library involvement, yes, this, and that would be something that I would manage. So, okay.
Okay.
I'm losing it. I'm just telling you, my head is.
All right, so let's move through it.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
All right. All right. So going back to Christina, what are we doing with Christina? And I can see Shay's, because I was browsing through the proposal, and although we're calling out two separate ones, I don't think the proposal, does the proposal clearly states the two? Because I've browsed through it a couple of times. So what do we want to do with Christina? Is the question. Do we approve the movers and shakers because it's youth and families over the summer timeframe? Or do we approve the families and it's throughout the year? Not everybody at the same time. Or do we approve everything?
Yeah. I'm wondering if we should let her try the summer and then we hold money aside to see whether or not she can continue during the school year.
All right, so we approve one, depending on execution, approve the second one. That's what the proposal is.
Sounds good.
Priscilla, China, okay, Priscilla, you good?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. All right, Candelaria. We got marching
Sorry,
orders.
I'm sorry, Evelyn, just for my notes, which one did you approve? And which one was the
So
one that?
the summer program, which is the movers and shakers, approved, and then movement and journal pending execution of the first one.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. The
Faith
next one is Faith Johnson. She's applying as an individual. The grant request is $1,230.37. She did attend the technical assistance session. She did do a notice of intent. This is a proposal for the summer. And it's for adults. The group size that she's comfortable with would be as few as 3, as many as 15. 3 sessions in August on Saturdays from 11:30 to 1. Now, since she wrote me a letter probably last Thursday to say, would there be any flexibility in terms of her dates because her summer was heating up? And I told her that yes, there would be flexibility. People often suggest dates, but once you start getting into scheduling, those dates may not be exactly what can happen. The sessions would be meditative exercises followed by an exploration of watercolor or abstract drawing or collage while relaxing music is played, journaling and sharing after the art creation. She is taught at Four Corners Yoga, which is in Dorchester, at Create Art in Roslindale, and at the Harvard Medical School. She works at the Boston Children's Museum. Her outreach was appropriate, including ads that she proposes on Facebook and Instagram. She has lots of arts teaching experience. She has recommendations from Christina Rose, who's the co-founder and owner of Four Corners Yoga and Create Arts in Roslindale. She said she set it up in her proposal that people can attend individual sessions or all 3. I like the combination of hands-on doing something, creating something in terms of art, visual art, and linking that to a meditative exercise. And I like the fact that it's sort of short form, that you could come in for one time or you could come in for all 3. I think that given today, a lot of us, I can't tell you how many things I sign up that have multiple sessions that my calendar changes. So I always feel bad if it was supposed to be a multiple session and I couldn't do it, but it's much easier if I can drop in and do things as I need to do just for me. And I realize I'm not everybody. And I think it's, as a new grant request, it's a small amount of money. I think it's great to have something going on in the summer. And so I look at this very positively.
So we, again, with the schedule, we, just as today, I'm just speaking of June 15th, we don't have Saturday hours yet. So, but that's just want to put that out there as well. And if
So,
I mean, if looking at like her schedule getting booked up, you know, if she's able to sort of look at the schedule and working with staff, like that could work. But I just wanted to like flag that Saturdays aren't open right now.
Yeah, I know that some people have done hybrid art classes. That involves getting kits to people and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I would much prefer that it would be able to be in person for this kind of program. And I'm wondering, do you have any idea at all if Saturdays will happen this summer?
We're hoping to get that information as soon as possible out to people.
So does that mean no means absolutely not? We know it's not going to happen this summer, or it could happen and we have 2 weeks, because that.
Right, I understand, and that's and I get that is a frustrating response.
Yeah, because it'd be hard to fund something and then you don't open for the whole summer.
Right. So, but as of today, this is why I'm saying as of today, and I realize that could change tomorrow, or it could change in 2 weeks.
So that means that would have to be an online class if we don't open on Saturdays.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Okay.
All right. All right, so.
Oh, wait a minute, one quick question. Candelaria, for her banner cost, is that amount too low?
I asked them to research the true cost of the ad, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah, unless she was talking about an online ad,
Maybe she was. I didn't.
because the print ad I know is more than $25. It's been more than $25 for a number
Oh,
of
no,
years.
so she's definitely talking about online. That's what it costs.
Okay.
Okay, any objections to Faith? No? Okay. Our piano classes.
So is that a yes?
Yes, that is a
Okay.
yes. Objections.
Okay, so Carlos did two proposals. Carlos has been funded for quite a while. He came to a technical assistance session this year, even though he's been funded for a long time. He's proposing the first set would be for $1,500 in the summer and he has it specifically for students who've attended piano classes before. 4 sessions, 5 kids per session, ages 5 to 15. And as a refresher course for those who attended the classes before the pandemic. It would be via Zoom in breakout rooms. He would do homework assignments through Flipgrid, which is a video recording platform, and we pivoted to those when during the pandemic. So that worked pretty well. And if I didn't know, and he put it in his own proposal, whether or not we could restrict or would want to restrict it to students who had attended the classes before. I think there would be high interest. They have written me throughout the pandemic. Do you have any idea when piano classes are going to start up again? So I think there's a robust group who would want to do that. He said the classes can be taught in English and Spanish because he's fluent in both. He would start the week of July 26th and run through August 23rd. The students have to have a keyboard and access to a tablet, smartphone, or computer, and that was worked out with existing students before. And then he has one substitute teacher who taught the students before. She taught, I don't think she did it when we did it virtually, but she did do it before the pandemic closed classes down. So that's one idea. And I don't know if you want me to just go into the other proposal, which I sent, and I didn't realize the thing I sent out had been uploaded wrong. So you didn't get both of his different proposals. Shall I continue? Okay, so the other proposal is $6,000 is piano classes from fall to spring for ages 5 to 15. This would be open to new students as well. As returning students, some of whom, if we approve the summer classes he proposes, they would be going into the fall sessions. And with the curve that he threw me on this, which he had not talked about at all during the technical assistant classes, is he asked permission if the program could continue at Boston Conservatory. And I see you shaking your head, and I was very taken aback that he put this proposal. His reasoning is very sound from an instructor and student point of view, because they took the classes in the practice room. It has the headphones for each keyboard. It's da 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 da. It's much more difficult. He did leave himself an out to say if he had to, it could be at the library. My feeling is that Boston Conservatory either ought to fund its own program, because we helped them do community outreach, because we pivoted to having it there because he taught there, or they could decide that they wanted to donate special keyboards and headphones to the library.
Well, Candelara, before you even go any further, for us to approve that, to approve having it there, we would be in violation of Sarah and Caleb Fellows' will. They specifically said in their will, this money is for, instructional and educational activities at what's now called the Roxbury branch. So that's not even a choice for us. We'd be in violation of that will.
Okay.
Yeah, that is correct.
So my question is two things. Do you want to him to do something this summer that would be the refresher course, which he's only proposing as a hybrid? I mean, as virtual. So do we say to him, both of them have to be in the library because the libraries are open? And then the other thing that this really begs, these are, if the summer refresher is Virtual, it doesn't, there's no time frame on it. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be restricted to Saturdays. The piano classes have to take place on Saturdays. That's when his schedule, his teaching schedule allows. So the branches would have to be open for it.
So that is let me ask you a question. So but you're right, the piano classes have always been on Saturday. So is the reason he's asking to be in the conservatory just the conservatory, or because he would rather do that than doing an online class?
No, he was asking for it when we pivoted to offering people the ability to continue their classes virtually. He teaches at Boston Conservatory. We went there for 2 years, maybe 3. And I was there almost every Saturday, and they have practice rooms where 9 students there are 9 keyboards, all of which are wired to headphones, which means he's able to go from student to student to student, and it's more contained. When they come to the library, you have to, especially for new students, do they have a keyboard, setting the keyboard up right, et cetera, which usually leaks into the time. And so it's just easier for him and smoother for him as a teacher to do something where it's already set up, and he doesn't have to worry about that.
Another thing too that he said in his proposal, Evelyn, he said that he's always had the dream to create an after-school program for young people, and he's already spoken to the person at the conservatory about them having this program. So he's already in his mind seeing this as his personal program that he wants, which is fine, but you can't use our money to do that.
Well, he also said what he said in that proposal was the after-school program to involve the composition students at Boston Conservatory. One of the things that we did do was we asked him to have the kids tour the place so that they could get to see, because most of the parents were not aware that there was this conservatory and that kids actually go to college to learn how to be in musical theater and how to do stuff. So we toured the building and we tried to do things, and we did a program at Berkeley when he got an award. Several of the parents from the classes, because it was after the piano program, we walked down to Berkeley and they got to see him receive an award and all of that. So again, I think Boston Conservatory ought to run his own program. We need to make him know that the only way this program can happen is at the library. My only caveat would be whether or not you would want the virtual program that he's proposing for the summer, or to just fund him for the school year, or what, but making it clear that it has to be on at the library, because that's our guidelines, and that it will be on Saturday. If it can't be on Saturday, then I don't think it can happen.
I think by the fall we'll have, I think soon we'll have an answer, but we're anticipating that it will be by then, because this has to do with staffing across the system. So I anticipate that Saturdays will be returned later this year.
Okay. So does that mean that you think it's okay that we do the Zoom program for the summer refresher?
If you could just run, so we've got the 35, is it 35 students for the summer refresher?
That's the number we've served in the past. So right. 4 groups.
And these parents and these kids are very dedicated. And so my only concern is just sort of the ability to get new students. And I guess when they graduate out at 15, then that's how you leave some room. But it just always, that can be a challenge as well, of bringing new people in. I've seen this program as well. It's amazing. And I think that he does a great job, and the students to get a ton out of it. And I think that it would be appropriate to continue that for this. That's how I feel for the piano.
Yeah, I also had a waiting list, and that's how I started bringing kids in. In fact, the last kid got in 2 weeks before we closed the door. There were 2 students whose parents worked in healthcare, and so they were not able to participate once the quarantine, and they weren't able to participate in the hybrid because the parents scheduling and stuff, they couldn't make it happen. So I do think there's a way. What I would do is not have anybody do guaranteed. I think for the summer program, it would be worthwhile to reach out just to those students, which would be up to 36 students. I think for the fall program, it's open and maybe give, preference to a returning student. But we have a number of kids who are at the age 15. And so every year their parents are either twisting their arm if they're not interested to come back, Excuse me.
Shay, do you have any thoughts about summer and?
Yeah, yeah, I am not opposed to the summer just being for those who already have been in the program. I'm thinking back to the experience we had at the Box last summer doing our theater program virtually, and it went a lot smoother because we had all returners who already were familiar with, the process of creating their own theater piece. Whereas in the school, during the school year, the program that we ran went virtual halfway through the program, and we had new students in that group, and they had more of a challenge on the virtual format because they were not familiar with the activities and process in a way, in our youth program, we have them create their own show. So if only for that reason. And I was just thinking about a conversation I had with Fred, who teaches at the John D. O'Brien, and how he said that he ended up teaching guitar because it was easier than many of the other instruments that he was teaching. So I'm okay with that for the summer. And then plus with it being a shorter amount of weeks to try to start somebody new who's never done piano before. And if we're not open on Saturdays, it would have to be virtual. And I think I made myself clear about the fall. It's either in the branch or not at all.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We've got that branch. It's beautiful. We want people there.
So do we have a vote of yes for both? Understanding that, letting him know that it has to be at the branch for the fall.
Need to wait for Evelyn.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Apologies, I'm back. Okay, so we're still in Carlos? So we're deciding what are we gonna do with Carlos? Can I ask a question? Which I was gonna ask before I departed for a minute. On the summer, I'm fine with the summer program, which is online, that's what he wants. On the second program, because we don't know when the branches are opening Saturday. And I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Should they do Saturday Zoom or should they do Saturday at the conservatory until we open Saturdays at the branch and then everything moves to the branch on Saturdays? I see this from Candelaria.
Okay, this is very selfish and personal. It will drive, I think, and knowing the parents, it would just be much better to say the Saturday programs have to happen at the Roxbury branch once the Roxbury branch opens. We anticipate that happening by October. But if it doesn't, then if that doesn't happen till November, the classes will start in November. It's very hard to send mixed messages that way, to have them start and then go.
Well, it does say in his proposal, he does say start in November.
Yeah.
It's November through May.
Yeah. At one point we started in October, November, so that's fine.
Okay, all right. So we need to communicate back saying we would not fund the conservatory. We would fund only at the library.
Yeah, I'll do that.
He also put on there, he wanted to know, even if we did the library, if they could have the final performance at Berkeley. So we need to tell him no on that too, right?
Or we have two. I mean, I think the other thing could be.
Okay, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the next person is John Kordelewski with the Maconda Project, requesting $7,000 for what he's done. They've been funded since 2008, a fall 2021 concert, a spring 2022. some costs are covered by the National Endowment for the Arts fundraising that they've done. It's a 13-member ensemble. When there was restrictions and they did programs at the Bartlett Yard during COVID, they pivoted to having 30 audience members, and they used reservations. So in the technical assistance session and in the dozen of follow-up emails he gave me, because John tends to be very thorough, he was saying that, you know, Bartlett Yard said only 50 people could come, and 20 of those were the were the musicians and their technical people. So one of the things that they did was that they had timed concerts where they did 2 different concerts. So he said if they felt that the capacity of the community room was such that it wasn't realistic to have 1 concert, they might do 2, one at 6 and then 1 at 8 or whatever. And 1 concert will, as always, feature some youth artists. 1 will have mass arts, the Spark Art Mobile do classes. And he gave hybrid and several alternative sorts of models. And he said they're also having other concerts in Nubian Square. He will have a presentation about the new branch by the librarian during intermission at 1 session. One of my notes said that I would require him to do it at both sessions. I don't think that takes away from the concert for them to have the librarian come up and talk about music at the library and the music collection at the Roxbury branch. They have a 1,500 plus email list, and they do very well at keeping their, at getting their evaluations. They do very well at their final reports, and they talk about how many new people and how many return people. And they had a good, the letters of support. Betty Hillman is with the Boston Citywide String Orchestra, and her youth players have played at some of the performances. And then Nellie Knight, who's lives in Roxbury, talked about how important they were to her. So this is nothing new. They're not going to do an international jazz artist, which they've done previously. They will stick to somebody domestic and probably more New England area that they think will be able to get here if there are any travel restrictions imposed again. So it's a good, solid proposal, nothing head turning, certainly has a big following and beloved by many of the people who attend.
All right, open for comments.
Is there a chance, oh, Shay, sorry, you were on mute, but I just wanted to ask if there's a chance, I'm thinking of the porch that is overlooking Nubian Square and possibility, I know that this is going to be November and I know it can be cold, and I think it's November, but it's like I would love to see this concert outside there to really bring, and I know they're doing other concerts there, but that's another, like being outside of the branch is just something I'd like to look at potentially.
Well, one of the things that we were told is that we could not say anything about using outdoor space. So that specifically was told during the technical assistance sessions that they couldn't plan on that. One of the things
talked about that because of rain.
Huh?
We've talked about that as a committee because of rain, I know.
Well, because of rain, but we'd also said that they didn't, right now we were told we weren't programming anything outside because capacity issues and all that. So during the technical assistance session, that wasn't offered as an option. And when we did the tour, one of the things that we noticed that we were sad about was that the community room didn't open to the public, because we could just see sliding doors and you could have the music going out and it would be wonderful. But right now, the way it's configured, that wasn't included. Yeah. But anyhow, so that's their proposal.
I had one question and one comment. Question that they were streaming some of their performances. They continue to do that even if they have full capacity inside the
Yeah, he said that would be one of the things that they would continue to do, that they were surprised at how popular that was, that there are people who can't get out or don't want to get out for various reasons. So,
and the other thing is, you mentioned the NEA grant. That's actually a matching grant. So if they don't get our money, they don't get the NEA grant too, unless they get a different funder. Is that correct?
I don't know those details, but it does tend to be a matching grant. But he's had success in maneuvering. John is very much a maneuverer. This has been like a big portion of his life's work. So he's the person on whose shoulders these concerts stand. So he's very good at getting other money, because it costs more to put on than the $7,000 they're asking us for, according to him.
In the spirit of us trying to make sure more people are aware of different rates in Roxbury, could we ask him to have some kind of presentation around, whether it's a visual presentation or oral presentation around Laconda, because I don't think most people realize he's Roxbury jazz composer.
So yeah, we can ask him that. I know at some of the early concerts, they spent more time on it, but now it's become sort of familiar. But I think a presentation on Maconda Ken McIntyre would be good. And I also want to tell you that I did outreach to a musician outreach to me, and I did send them information about both the concerts in the courtyard, call for proposals that VPL was doing at Copley, as well as this being a potential source of funds. And he ultimately decided not to apply. And so one of the things that I'm thinking that I'm going to do is do some research on people who actually write proposals and what their rates are, and offer it to some of the people who just have good ideas, but for whatever reason just are very intimidated by filling out applications. And it's not because the application is difficult, because it's not.
Mhm. All right, any abstains or reservations or commentaries around Maconda? All right, any abstains or declines? No? Okay, approved. All right, so then the
Okay.
next has 3 proposals.
Yes, from one person. It's a new applicant, Zahira Nur. On my application, I have Nur Truth. So she has one, her company is ZNT Arts. She has a proposal for $2,632. And that would be watercolor experiments, and that's for older youth and adults. Shall we discuss them separately, or shall I lump them together?
Do them separately.
Okay, so watercolor experiments would be in summer on Saturdays. Again, that's another Saturday request. She has August dates from 10 to 11. And she said watercolor experiments reinvented Let's Go Outside. It would be via Zoom, she said, for 1.5 hours. And I don't know why she didn't do it as a hybrid, because I was really specific that that would be something you could do. Her marketing was adding the banner, Facebook and Instagram sponsored marketing. She talked about the registration form, and that she would provide up to 15 watercolor kits. So that was her proposal for that. Again, we don't have Saturday hours in the summer, but I don't, even though I know people have done a lot of paint classes by Zoom, I'm more nervous because this is a first time applicant, albeit with a lot of experience. And I think that we're trying to get people into the library. So that would be my, what I would say about that. And I'll stop here. I don't know if you all want to talk about it, or shall I go to the next proposal and the third, and then we can decide on them. Evelyn, would you like me to go to the next one?
No, I was gonna get commentary on the first
Okay.
one. So it's a summer program. I didn't see what days are those. It's a summer program. There's only 3 of them. It's
Yeah, 3
only-
dates for 1.5 hours.
And it's on Saturday, so that's why we don't know if we're gonna be open Saturdays in the August timeframe.
Right.
Okay, so any questions or commentaries on that one, on the first one? This is very quiet today.
Just the schedule. I think it's like, I'm just thinking about the schedule. Because of
What-
yeah.
What about
Well,
this?
just the, we've got all these fabulous proposals, and we really want to make sure we can have, thinking of them, and that it's like the restriction is unfortunate. So I apologize for that.
No, but but this person is saying, they're saying that it's virtual.
Okay.
It's a 3-part series, it's an hour and a quarter virtual via Zoom. So it's not the library. So no need to apologize. She's saying it's virtual.
Well, I would also say for me, that makes me a little nervous of this was a proposal that I had as a maybe in terms of how I would vote, although I don't get a vote. It's a first time grant applicant, and I'm much more nervous about doing something virtually when no one has sort of done work for us. And again, we're trying to get people into the library. So I don't know if she has any flexibility around doing it on not a Saturday. So that would be something that I would ask, because since it's for adults, older teens to adults, they would probably have flexibility to do something in the evening or, maybe a late afternoon at the branch. And right now the branch is open only one evening a week, correct? And that's Thursday or Monday?
Monday.
Monday.
Okay, so the first one is, it's a Saturday, it's virtual, and it's the watercolor experiments. Okay,
Yes.
on to the next.
Okay, the next one is called decorating.
Let's go. It says, let's go outside, but it's virtual. Okay, go.
Okay. Decorating, I noticed that. Decorating your space with joy is proposed for older teens to young adults beginning in the fall from November 10th and 17th on Wednesdays. Again, that's a day we're not open, from 4 to 5:30 and 1.5 hours. It would be up to 15 people. How to create a sacred space at home that centers joy. And she mentioned digital mood bands, which was something I was curious about. This one to me, and she talked about divine feminine great remembrance. For me, this read very not specific enough. There was nothing about it that made me think that this is something that we would necessarily want to have happen at the library. I looked at the websites of the people, and one was called Bougie something Luminaries and Blog Girl Mover, and I just wasn't particularly. It didn't give me confidence for this, what she was proposing, that there was enough there that I could say, let's fund it. So I was a little surprised by that proposal.
All right, comments on the second one?
No, if it's 4 to 5:30 on Wednesday, that would be okay, but I think there were some other Wednesday.
Oh yeah, that's right, 4 to 5:30, yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
can I say this? Did anybody open the links? Because I must say this. Anybody open the links? Okay, Ken Blair, you did. Anybody else? So, Trey, if you have an opportunity, you should. Because when it opened, it's a woman half naked. It's what I got.
It was like a pinup.
Yes.
It was very artistic, but it didn't do anything to support the proposal, and it made me question.
That made me uncomfortable, by the way. Especially
well, it made me uncomfortable to put in with a library proposal. It didn't make me, if I were just a consumer going to it, I could see what she was getting into and that kind of stuff. But I just thought, this is a person who didn't particularly think through about, and I said to them specifically at the technical assistance session, there are going to be people who don't know you. There are going to be people who don't know your audience. So you've got to be very specific about what you're doing. So I felt that it was sort of hastily put together. I do know one of the people that she got a letter of reference from, which was Tanya Nixon of Little Uprisings, who does puppetry and a lot of work around social justice with young people. She's gotten a lot of funding. She's in a program that I run. I know her, and so that made me, and I've heard of Zahira's name for a very long time, but I was surprised. And so I thought that was a little, there was nothing about the links that made me say, yeah, let's fund this person to do this program. So I would say, I can't vote, so that I said enough. Okay,
so then let's move to the third one.
Okay, the third one is for $1,406.15. It says adults and children from ages 3 to 10, proposed for the spring during April vacation week. Health is wealth, art making. She said that she had been teaching art and literacy in Boston for pre-K to elementary for 10 plus years. She's worked at the Dimick Center for more than 200 children on a weekly basis. She's taught at BPS and at the Elliott School in JP. She's also done sessions at the Mission Hill Library. The course is going to teach about food sustainability, food deserts and healthy food choices based on USDA guidelines. She would provide seeds from Urban Farming Institute, which is the farm in Mattapan, and share resources and info from UFI and the Food Project. We'll create healthy food choice puppet collage out of mixed paper materials. She had some sewing workshops on her website. That sewing is not at all a part of what this is, unless because it's a puppet collage. Again, one of the letters of support was to somebody whose work I know and am familiar with. I felt that this was that her proposals were pretty hastily done. And so I don't think they were as nuanced as I would have expected them to be. I don't get linking food deserts and food sustainability and healthy food choices for an audience of families with kids. Kids, what do they care about food deserts? You know, it's more talking about healthy choices of food. And she's if they're going to provide seeds, or she's going to ask the children to plant them, the families to plant them. I just feel there was enough detail for me to say, this is exactly what the program is going to look like. There was no sort of curriculum like this on this part of the day, the time we're together, 15 minutes for this, 20 minutes for that. And so that for me, it just wasn't full enough. So it's not something that I am able to pump.
I just have a quick comment on that one. I see where you're coming from with that. It's not fully thought out, but I think that some of these ideas that are not, fully fleshed are really great ideas. And in the future, I would love to be able to support somebody making their ideas a little bit more full-fledged. But I do see the correlation that you're trying to say there.
I mean, out of the three, I mean, I like the first one the most. Second one, I say no. The third one, I'm having a hard time following it in the sense of, if I go to a session, what does it look like?
Yeah. The other thing I should say, so those were my two no's, and then I had a maybe on the first one. The other thing I should say, and you may have noticed if you read the proposal, that she's asking for money up front. In her budget, she specified that she could not, she would need money to buy materials and stuff to make the program happen. And so, so she asked for art supplies and shipping materials, money for art supplies and shipping materials in advance, based on receiving funding for all three programs. She had asked for $803. And again, that's not something that we've done previously. And I would hesitate to do it with someone who's never received our funding before. And that's not because I don't trust her. I don't know her to trust her or not trust her. But what I know is that the best planning, the best marketing of programs doesn't always mean that you will have people attend them. So if you if you think you can have up to 30 people or 10 people or 12 people, and you buy things in advance and you don't get those people to participate, that, it becomes tougher. So that was another flag for me in terms of funding. And I did explain that she actually called and talked to me about an hour, a couple of days after the technical assistance session.
Evelyn, isn't it correct that the library system is a system where you have to you turn in your receipts to get your reimbursement? Isn't that how it is for all the things that happen?
Yeah.
So that, yes, she can't get that up front. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a procurement.
Yeah.
Yes, so I explained that during the session. She called me after the session. I said, well, you should put in your proposal what you think you can do. It's just that this is unprecedented and this is just not the way it's done. So.
Yeah, because it's a public entity, so you're just facilitating. Yeah, no, I don't see how that could happen. So she would need to have somebody run it for her, and then she would get reimbursed, once the program gets executed.
Yeah.
I think that I think that makes all three of hers be a no, we can't do it if that's going to be her way she needs to operate.
Is that a requirement? Candelaria?
She was very strong in stating in the meeting and in our conversation that she would need money and that she was very trustworthy. So I would say that if it's against the rules as a public agency that we don't do it that way. If the proposals were stronger, then, you know, I even said to people that a lot of times people can like, you do 2 programs and then you can put in your paperwork to get reimbursed for the first 2 programs. So if you've bought supplies and stuff, you can put in reimbursement. You don't have to wait till the very end. You know, when we have multiple programs, people get paid in different ways.
Right.
So
I don't want to, and I don't, if Diana is able to be promoted to comment, if this would help. And I apologize for making this more complicated, but I do need to, I think that when the branch staff, they schedule performers, they do pay, they have vendor numbers for the city of Boston, and they do pay them in advance, like before they give it. I'm just trying to think of a way, like in thinking about also the way we can bring in new people and bring in people that for doing proposals that we haven't really seen before, different types of proposals. $800 is a huge amount of money, and looking for ways, you know, not creative budget wise, but ways that would be able to support that. And maybe that's not for this conversation, but maybe that is something that we look at throughout the year, like to try to bring in more proposals. Maybe there is a different way that we have to go about paying. It was just a.
Well, let me ask that question differently. Is it possible, and then I don't know if we want to be in that business, so, but that's a library decision. Is it possible to, you know, we have our own vendors. If she had a list of materials, could we order those materials through our vendor?
I think if we're looking, and again, I want to speak in general terms on this. I do think that is something that is looking at possible because we have our own. I don't say we have our own vendors, and we have our special discounts that we have, and then anything that, for the most part, any grantee would be using, if for some reason it wasn't able to be used, if the program didn't happen, would be able to repurpose it somewhere else and have a, you know, a different program. I just think it just.
I'm going to warn you. I'm going to warn you that you're establishing a precedence.
Right.
Well, the other thing I was going to add to that is, you know, with this money, we have to always be very careful about things like that because of the lawsuit years back when the money was being used in an improper way, and I don't want us to have to go back through that again, you know. And if the money's being spent first,
Right. Priscilla, I'm having an issue with, you know, I understand that we do, you know, for example, like if you have a performer, you have somebody that you pay a deposit, that's part of, you will have a contractual arrangement. So you have payment terms based on that contractual arrangement. These are programs that we're funding. They're not really a contractual arrangement. I also don't want to see, because I think Ellen would have a heart attack. You guys, or, you know, because once you open that door, you're establishing a precedence where people then want to go to the library to get the discounts and to you know, buy all the stuff. So now you're managing for materials for people in the outside. It's hard enough managing the materials within the library. Now you're managing materials for people in the outside. I think you're opening the door to problems. I understand what you're getting to, that we don't want to limit the person, you know, if the person has a money situation, But, you know, like Candelaria said, we could establish it, you know, if you have multiple sessions, right? She can put something on a credit card for those materials, do the first session and then request payment for that first session. So that way it, you know, there's no delay. You're on mute, Candelaria. Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. We could even have somebody order supplies a couple of weeks ahead of time as they're recruiting. I mean, that's happened before. But one of the things that I think needs to happen is that there would be great to have a meeting with the people in the business office just to talk about, like, let's look at our system again, or anything's changing since the library has reopened, that kind of thing. I think that doing a lot of work to really make people understand, when I do the orientation for new grantees, one of the things I said is that this is not the kind of thing to decide you're going to pay next month's mortgage or rent with. That it is a city program, that it may, you may get it the week that you submitted it, but probably it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks. So you cannot, this is the way it is. And this is the nature of getting grants funding. Unless they're giving you an outright grant and you do whatever you want and then you report back at the end of the year, this is a different kind of program. It is a library-based program. And so that you can't do that. So I don't want to belabor that too much, but the only one of them that I would be, again, was the notion of the one that would be in the summer. But again, if she's proposing it for Saturdays, we don't know that it's going to be open on Saturday. So unless she has flexibility, and again, I just think right now I think it's going to be challenging to fund if somebody really can't do it. I mean, I'd be willing to, if people are comfortable enough that there are 2 ifs with the let's go outside watercolor one. One, does she have flexibility to do it on another day except Saturdays, in case the library isn't open? And 2, does she have the ability to somehow get supplies and bill us with the first week the class starts?
The Candelaria, this is the one that's the summer, that's virtual. And
Yeah, but I don't think it should just be virtual. I had always asked for it to be hybrid. I'm more nervous about, that's just another layer of complexity, getting kits to people. I mean, I guess you could have people come pick them up at the library, but again, can she, if it was going to be virtual, the same thing, do you have the ability to expend the money and know that you can get reimbursed by probably the first week after the first session? I don't know.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I hear what Shay is saying. We don't want to be mishandling any of these funds. That's not my intention. And we don't also want to set a bad precedent for the money. So Evelyn, I hear what you're saying on that. But I'm wondering also if we need, you know, looking at maybe encouraging her to apply next time. Is the other, I was just trying to think if this isn't really, like, these proposals aren't really, we can't really wrap our heads around them. We don't want the first one to be, so it sounds like the one that we were potentially okay with, it's only virtual, and that Candelaria, you're saying you don't think we should have a new grantee only be virtual. And so it sounds to me like these are 3 no's.
Yeah, I think I can write, what I usually do is try to write a thoughtful letter and say, I encourage you to reapply. And these are the things that would strengthen it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, so what do you folks think about asking, you know, we would be willing to consider the watercolor experiments if you were to do hybrid and not on a Saturday? What do people think? Representative Jay. And Diana, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I don't
Or
feel
you wanna say no?
I don't feel strongly for or against it, but I don't know.
Okay. Representative? Find that mute button.
Yeah, I think I can echo that sentiment. I'm not really for or against. I'm not really sure, honestly. I do like the food insecurity one, though. I see where she's going with that, but you know, as far as
You can talk to me about that because I couldn't see it.
Yeah, so pretty much so the word food desert, it seems like it threw, the context of what the individual was trying to put forth off. And long story short, yeah, in Roxbury, there is a food desert. For a long while, there are very, very few supermarkets in the area, and then the supermarkets in the area didn't provide the best quality food as far as healthy options, or the best quality options, I would say. So the food desert situation, I can definitely see as it pertains to kids and connecting that with the family. I mean, you're feeding your children, so that kind of is a no-brainer to me. I just don't really see how she was trying to close that full circle with what she was going to offer. But that's a really, really great idea to address issues around food insecurity and food deserts, especially, with the pandemic being here and like all those things. Like, I can see that, but I just don't see how she was able to bring that to light. But I would like to support that in the future if we're able to.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that it's a good theme. I'm just, when it comes to the description of the program, I don't see the execution of it. Like, if I put myself as a participant, and I don't know how it goes.
Yeah, so can I suggest something? At one point, I was a new grant writer. I didn't get the first grant I applied to. They gave me instructions on what would make it stronger. And we still do that. I did 20 proposals with the foundation I'm on this morning. And we had several where we gave specific suggestions for them to reapply again, not guaranteeing that they would get funded the next time, but this is what would have strengthened your proposal. I would say that for this one, we really need to say, I think that she sort of shot herself in the foot a little bit by proposing 3 wildly different programs as a first-time applicant for this grant. So I would rather do feedback and say, come to the next technical assistance session. I can even give you some more one-on-one dialogue about what would strengthen your proposal were you to come back to us in the future. So I would love to maybe put this one to bed. Because I don't see anything that we're saying, yay, got a fund.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, is that good?
So we say no? Is that what we're
Yeah.
saying?
Say no. And then let's visit Bonita, and then I have one other thing that I want to bring up.
All right, any objections to saying no? Any strong feelings about it?
I just want to make a comment on that. So Candelaria, I know that you may do this. I think I've heard you say this before, but I just want to be clear. And folks that were saying no to, or that, maybe the idea is great, but what you propose is not the best, what we're looking for. Are we going to provide them with something saying, hey, here's how you can go about, proposing something a little bit better next time? Is that what you said a little earlier? I think I may have missed that.
I talked to them in the letter about these are the things that would strengthen your proposal.
Okay, good.
And you should reapply again. My telling you to reapply again does not guarantee that it will be funded, because I don't vote on the proposal. So I'm really clear about that. I'm the program manager. I also tell people, some people are really upset and they want to talk to you. And I tell them, give yourself a couple of days and then give me a call and we can talk about it. And I just did 2 big trainings for potential grantees. I did a whole big PowerPoint. And one of the things I tell people is, sometimes you get funded, sometimes you don't. You can't compare yourself to other people who got funded. Don't call the funder the moment if you hear a no, when you're still upset and hurt and maybe angry. Take a moment, and then they usually will and say, I want to know how I can strengthen the proposal. And I'm going to say that to her, and then I will have a conversation with her, because I have very specific things that she could have done to make these proposals clearer and stronger.
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're building people up so they can come back stronger next go round. But I appreciate
I've
that.
done it since I've been in this job. Yes, very much.
They do propose, and they do win it the following.
Yes.
Without
so Bonita is the person we have to go back to and make a decision on, and she's the mindfulness meditation. She asked for 6,000. I do remember as we were talking that she ended up, I think there's 1 or 2 times where she's proposed something in the fall and spring, and she only up doing something like 2 spring ones because of things happening in her schedule. So she definitely, the people who attend her class really like it. There's been times when it's been sitting room only. And then there have been times when there's been fewer attendance, but even with the fewer attendance, it's been a robust program.
Okay, so what do we do? So Trey, you wanted to put it on hold.
Yeah, one of the things that's hard for me about this is how much stress dealing with her has caused Candelaria over the years, as far as not turning things in. I mean, she didn't even turn in her receipts until like past the deadline, I think you had said one time, in addition to her final reports. And so there is that issue too. And I know that she has been spoken to on a number of occasions, and she still is using things in the same way. That being said, do we want Candelaria to continue to have a special applicant, special needs applicant, because she tends to do good work?
May I say something? For me, it would be easier if we funded one of the programs and we funded it for the fall. And that way I have all that time until June to hopefully get the things that I needed to get done. Because for me, it's also like, this is hanging up your ability to get a check. So I don't understand. And I literally called, emailed. And it's been more than one round. So, but again, taking my discomfort and frustration out of the picture, it does serve a purpose. I just don't think that we necessarily need to try to do two of them. I think one would be fine. And that would mean funding her for $3,000.
I think that sounds good.
We've done that before with her. Representative Shay?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm happy to support the group on this one. That's fine. And I want people to think that they can just, not be, subordinate when it comes to following the rules. And Candelaria, she's doing a lot of work to help. So I'll support the group on that one for sure.
So did you do a running tally of what we funded?
We're still under our budget. Pamela, you were keeping track. I mean, I was keeping track. All of a sudden I stopped keeping track. So the only ones that said no were ZNT Arts. Then we said no to Movement and Journal. And then Bonita, we said half.
Yes. All right. So can
I do want to remember too that we need to put in that 5,000 for the branch.
Yes, that's one thing I was going to bring out. 5,000 for the branch, and I don't know if we're able to even increase that because they didn't get it we didn't have a funding go round. And then the final thing that I was going to ask is whether or not we thought we might want to do our winter RFP. Might we want to do an RFP in January because we have additional money to spend, or would we want to talk about maybe having a meeting and increasing the amount of money that people can apply for when we do the RFP? I guess we'll go back to our original schedule if we go back to our original schedule.
I would do a winter.
Hmm?
I like the winter idea.
Okay.
Would that be for the spring?
Yeah, I think we could do something like if we put something out in January, then they would be for programs that would start in March or April and go like maybe to the summer. And then, I don't know, but I have to work it out in my mind and send you a written document, but that's what I was thinking because we do have more money and
Yeah,
the process was abbreviated.
Well, yeah, and how do we increase the proposals? I mean, I know that we've been closed, and so it's been kind of, and it's an off year. I'm going to say this year it's an off year, but how do we increase the number of proposals? And
I think having sponsored ads on Facebook. I think having maybe 3 or 4 ads in the banner, running weekly. I would also advertise it in places like the Dorchester Reporter, because even though it's Dorchester, part of what they consider Dorchester is actually Roxbury, and we're not just restricted to that. So I think that there are ways of really getting it out. I think maybe the Network for Arts Administrators of Color I actually want to look over the proposal itself and make it more friendly. And come up, send that can be some of the stuff that I work on. But I do think if we had more than one ad in the banner, et cetera, that may help. But honestly, it's not the banner ads that are doing it anymore. Print ads are not getting, because I'm with the other process that I do, that's not getting the applicants. It's been more the Facebook groups.
Yeah,
And
I would say, can we send it to the city councils so they can advertise it and the reps? That would be, because they have their own following.
And you know what? It can't hurt because we haven't done a reach out in a while to the nonprofit organizations in the mile around the branch. We should probably do that again.
I think if there's money for flyering, that would be good. That there's sometimes, like you said, money to send direct postcards and flyering is very good. But it went to a lot of nonprofit groups, and it's interestingly, it went to the 6 classes of the Creative Entrepreneur Fellowship of the Arts and Business Council, and not one of them applied. And they were reminded it went, when I did presentations, I did 2 trainings, one for the city around fundraising for individual artists. And people just were, either there was fatigue in terms of the deadline, that there were lots of proposals that were due at the same time and people were picking and choosing. 2 people that I followed up with, because I thought, well, let me make it very specific about why I think this funding would be great for the type of art work that you do. And they said that they were one person, they'd already gotten funded for this at the same time, and they just couldn't see how they could do, they didn't have the capacity to do something else themselves because they were individual and they weren't representing an organization. And so there are people that I expected, and like the Roxbury Historical Society, I thought this could, be a great match for them with the African American collection and everything, and even giving them an extension didn't make them actually decide to fill out the proposal. So I do think going through the network of arts administrators of color, having more ads, because sometimes people, it takes 3 or 4 weeks to catch up. People weren't seeing the banner in the same way while there are restrictions in terms of us going around. I think if I could get money to know that, okay, I can hire somebody to flyer this neighborhood or these 40 organizations, or even just do a direct mail piece. And so that would involve my getting permission to get flyer design through BPL communications department. And I haven't met the new people there yet. That would be great for me to have some of that capacity to get the help I need to get the word out.
Can I just comment on that? I agree with you on that one as far as like print ads versus like social media. I mean, we're all on social media these days. So that's definitely spot on. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when we last met, or months ago, is trying to curate like a small youth workforce to be able to flyer, and whatever monies that we were going to put towards, if it's feasible, that we were going to put towards like putting in, ads, different print ads, kind of hiring youth to be able to do flyering. I think it serves as 2 purposes. One purpose is what we're trying to fulfill, get the word out there. We've had a big issue with trying to, make sure that we have youth jobs in this local community and just across Boston in general. So I would put the proposal out there for the group to support trying to bring on some youth to flyer, even if it's just a one-off thing, 2 times, what have you. Any monies for low-income families would be great.
On a different topic, Candelara, do you know where the keyboards are? Are they at the Grove Hall branch, or did one of the friends take them home?
Okay, there are a couple of them. I think that Art may have some in his home, and there's at least 2 kids who still have them at their homes.
Okay. Because that's going to impact.
Wherever else they are, I have no idea. There weren't that many. Some of them were kind of raggedy when they were packing up from the branch. I don't know where they went, because for the last 3 years, well, there were 2 kids who took them home because they didn't have keyboards at home. Right. And so those names, and as soon as the branch was open again, I was going to tell them, you all need to bring that keyboard in. And, if the piano classes are funded again, then you can get to take it home again. So that's where that is. So
does that mean that in bringing Carlos back into the branch, we may have to replace some of those keyboards? And if so, does that come out of his budget?
It wouldn't come out of his budget. I would recommend, what we're recommending is that people have their own keyboard. Kids cannot participate in a piano class if they don't have an instrument to practice at home. It doesn't work. And so what we did before is we previously said we had these keyboards available. We also had the old piano, which I don't remember seeing that on the tour. And we gave them options, like you can get really good keyboards on Craigslist. There's a keyboard, the keyboards cost only $199, but as he's saying, you need the keyboard, you need the cord, you need
Headphones.
headphones.
Okay. And one last thing, we talked about for the branch to 5,000, and you have brought up whether or not we can add another. So I didn't think we finished that conversation.
No, I don't think we finished it. I was wondering if we could give them what they would have gotten last year and this year, since we seem to have the money in the budget.
I think
Right.
that they do have other funding in it, and looking at, so this would be for starting July 1st, right? Okay. I just want to double check to see if they haven't. I know they don't always spend all of that anyway, so I think that they do such a great job with the work they do themselves, and I know that that Akuna and Felicia and Stephen and Alan have really great ideas. I do think 10,000 is a lot of money for what they're doing.
Are they still having to go through Central to do any ordering? Because we've heard at several of the meetings that we've had that getting appropriate books in the children's collection and in the youth collection, that there's a lot of things they want to order that they haven't felt that they've been able to order. So that's one of the things I thought that they might like. And then the African American collection, when we went on the tour, it has been heavily didactic. It's not as, and I'm sure there are reasons for that. So that's where I was thinking that if there was enough money for them, that would be some of the ways that they might like to use them. But I can't speak for them, because I think we also have different staff. Sometimes the staff wasn't as organized, and at least with the librarians we have now, there's just been Felicia and Stephen, and then with Akuna is giving us regular reports of library activity. It's been like a whole new day of communication that's been very helpful to the friends and also to me. So.
Well, I just want to acknowledge Diana Pruser and Alan Knight for bringing that communication together. They've done a really great job over there. I think regarding the books, they do have funds for that, and they work with collection development. I know one of the things that they've done in the past is use this funding to actually buy books to give away, not necessarily to have in the collection. And they've gone through, and I know Akuna's gone through Frugal Books, to order books as giveaways as a program. And so I know they've used them funds for that, and so it's appreciated for that. But as far as like putting the books in a collection, that's a totally different process. That's not really that's just a different process.
So is there a compromise between 5,000 and 10? Would 7,000 be too much? Or I don't understand.
The only concern that I had was if I just didn't want to give them so much that they would feel like part, but I think 7 sounds great. I'm not trying to take money from them. It's just they do have they do have other funding. And then if they don't spend it, it just goes into the carry forward. So it's not like it goes away.
Okay, so that's Evelyn, you all have to vote on it. I see Representative Tyner has her hand up. Excuse me.
My mistake. No, I lowered it. My mistake. It wasn't meant to be up.
Okay, so we're saying, so do we have a vote on the branch? So, Representative, the history is that we also give money to the branch for the spending, for the same purpose, circuit purpose, but it's branch spending at their leisure. So normally we give them 5,000, but because we didn't give them anything, we're saying 7,000. Make sense?
Oh, yeah, happy to support the group on that. So I have a question for you. So there's no more space to be able to, reach out. I'm just really, really concerned about the Corey friendly folks and providing support there. Just what's happening, just in Boston and Commonwealth in general. So after we vote, that I just want to make sure I'm understanding the process correctly. That's it. We'll just go with these programs and that's it.
So that's what we're saying. So the proposal is we go with these programs because those are the ones that proposed, and then we said there's a suggestion on the table to do another RFP in January.
Okay.
So that would be a good opportunity to bring those in.
Yeah, I'm happy to support the group on that, but I definitely want to just push the needle on making sure that we're instilling that community process a little bit more in depth, and also to like engaging folks that happen to have Corys. Like that's super important to the Roxbury community. But I'll support the group on this vote. Not a problem.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question around your statement, China, because I'm not clear whether when you say have Corey more involved, are you saying more people who have Corys submit proposals? Are you saying more people who have Corey participate in the programs, or something else?
It would be nice for them to submit proposals, but that's not what I meant. I meant just more,
Okay.
more programs focused on folks who happen to be legally involved. So whether that be legal services, I don't know if that's actually legal that we can provide that. How to navigate, getting through the court system if you are a parent of somebody who happens to be, court involved. There are a lot of folks that are court involved, and I feel like a lot of the things that can allow for them to, move up the ladder from being not court involved anymore is very low hanging fruit, and something that we can provide within the $5,000 kind of realm that we have to work with if someone was to submit a proposal. And I would really, really love to see that.
So that becomes a topic that would go into the RFP as something they're looking for people who can provide those services.
Yeah, so I mentioned that the last time we spoke, and I don't know if it's, I just can't see it right now in front of me. I was hoping that it was going to make it in the RFP that we put out this time around.
It was in the requested programs, which was a separate document that was sent. And one of the things that we also have to be clear is what agencies can be funded. Like I know the Roxbury Defenders should still exist, so that if I let them know that there's an RFP and they wanted to do some programs that they regularly do, but do them at the library or something that would outreach, what would be helpful for me is either people sending me or calling me and having a conversation about what organizations you think or what type of people you think could do programs that would specifically serve this population. Previously, in other funding years, we did fund the HiSET program, which was previously called GED training. We did fund a session that a young woman did, and she brought in people who drove trucks, and they talked about having vans, owning a truck, passing the licensing, and that brought in a whole lot of young men. Unfortunately, she and her partner never decided to do that program again. And we did fund the Wait House, which did training in math and English, and it had a broad spectrum of both people who were recent immigrants as well as people who had been in court involved. And so that's around program that was specifically interesting to that population. We've never had a program that was specifically around helping people who have Corys navigate. So we will add that more specifically in a way, but the way to reach that group is to have examples of actual organizations that work with this population who are not state or city funded, which means they couldn't get money from the library to propose programs for our site. Excuse me.
Yeah. So, Madam Chair, is it appropriate to ask that we, move on the vote? I think, we did a great job today in, vetting programs. Happy to support the group today. I think that the programs that were proposed today were pretty good. But is there an opportunity for us to be able to provide one more opportunity for folks that are in that realm of, dealing with folks who are court involved in or Corey friendly opportunity type programs to seek funding?
Listen,
I don't know what
that would be in January. If we do an RFP, I will make sure that information is included. I'm going to work on doing a new proposal. I would, in the meantime, it would be helpful to me if anybody, including you, has names of organizations or people that you think should be outreach specifically around that. I will come up with a timeline after I get the contracts and all of this out for this round of a date in January when the RFP will be issued. It's a 6-week timeline between that and actually getting proposals back. And so I would say from January to February, whatever the date is, that would be the timeline that I'd be working. Is that okay?
I just wanted to see if you know, I could hear from the chairwoman about like if there's another opportunity.
So here's what and I'm not that I've gone through grant proposal. I don't have a lot of experience, so I'm gonna count on you all that have experience on some advice here. Because if we have a period, when you open, you know, we have a period of grant proposals, you know, for people to submit, you know, are we going off cycle? Is it, if we open, we cannot open just for a few, we would have to open for everyone, right? Is that, because you have, it's about equity. It's not just selecting a couple people, right? And I mean, that's the
Well, I
was going to say, well, part of it has to do with this being a public library with public dollars, just like you can't limit who comes into the library to a certain group of people. We can't only just say, well, this proposal round is for this particular.
Right. What I was going to suggest, though, that, you know, due to the, you know, the number of proposals that we have currently, what I would say, and Candelaria, this is just going to add work to you. Instead of doing the RFP in January, can we do it sooner so programming can run in January? So instead of giving them such a short window? No.
Well, I would say we could put a proposal out in early December for programs that could start by February. Winter programs.
Yeah, maybe for February vacation.
Yeah. But I don't think it can be, I know it can't happen for me in October and November because of my other obligations, as well as getting these programs started. I'll be receiving final reports for summer programs. We'll be starting programs November 1st or October 1st. I forget what I put in the RFP for the new funders. And so November is a crazy month, and then you have the holidays. But I think announcing an RFP in December is certainly something that could be done with the specification that is for programs running from January to whatever. From January to the end of till June. And then we're going to get back on our schedule of doing the RFPs the way we've done them. Because before we would be reading proposals now. We wouldn't be having this meeting until August.
Yes,
remember?
August. Yeah, August.
So,
yeah, we moved it up because we didn't have anything last year. So, so Representative, is that a good compromise?
Yeah, so that's fine with me. I was just a little bit sad that it got lost in the translation and we weren't able to offer that this go around, but I'm fine with that. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think it would be great if follow through, you know, providing some of the names of the organizations. You know, one of the things that I also mentioned to Candelaria, you know, you heard me, you know, City Council and yourselves, the reps have, you know, a lot of following, and to leverage those individuals to, you know, in their social media to advertise as well, so we can get more proposals. It's going to be more work for us, but there are going to be some more proposals.
Well, I think that you should also include then the senators in that reach out as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll send it out to everybody in the mama. That's never been the problem. There is a lag between sending it out, people coming to technical assistance, and people actually making the commitment to fill out a proposal. I do this for lots of different organizations. I've been doing it for years. And it's not that people often don't know. That's not it. It's that a lot of people are afraid to write, which is why I made another suggestion that I will follow up on. I'm going to find, I know about 4 people to see, would you be willing to help to write proposals for people for this fee? What would it be? So that I can tell them, so that people who have great ideas but are not able, and interested in writing them down could be helped, because I think I do think that would open up proposals from other people.
Oh, you know what? We should do a class on how to write proposals. People attend the class, then to write the proposals after. Okay, anything else under new business? We have a lot of new business going covered. Discuss future meeting schedule.
I'm sorry, Evelyn, can I just get clarity? I don't know where you guys landed on the budget.
Can I do a run through? Sorry, I was gonna do a run through. And I'm on the spreadsheet, so it's not gonna match this this document that's in front of us. So we said no to ZN Arts, correct? Then we said yes to Jacqueline, yes to the Haley House, Gil Ferreira, Bonita Jones, we said 3,000 and not 6,000. Art Emerson gets 6,000. Joel McCall gets, both approved. Christina Iris Evans Ferreira, she gets the first one, not the second one. All right. Right. Did we say Faith yes or no? I can't remember that one. Did we say yes? Pamela, do you know?
No, but I had the same question because I have her down as you wanted to review all three of them before you figured out who you were going to fund because they were similar.
Oh, so there's a creativity.
I wrote on my sheet, I wrote yes for Faith, and I don't.
Okay, so you said yes. Okay, all right. Carlos, we said yes. And then Makanda Project, we said yes. Is that correct? 7,000 for the branch. So that brings a total of $51,055.47.
Evelyn, did you agree to Carlos pending that he changed his, that it's was it with pending circumstances though?
Well,
okay.
Proving pending that. So I included it in the budget.
No, I just wanted so I knew for clarity that that's the only one that had pending circumstances though, correct?
Christina had
Yes.
pending. Christina was going to do the summer one, and then we would see whether or not she'd be invited back to do something in the fall.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me include that one. So we included that one, but it's 55,708 with 47 cents. Okay. Now I have the sun on my face. All right. Do we still have Elizabeth on the phone? Is she gone? Is she still here? No, Elizabeth's still here.
7,500 for the Roxbury branch, was that included, or is it?
7,000 for the branch, it's included.
Okay.
Can we promote Elizabeth? Does she have any public comment?
She didn't sign up for public comment. I'm not
so
sure.
then
Here she is. So she's on.
Elizabeth.
Gotta unmute myself.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am loving some of these proposals that have been put forth, and I love that they were thoroughly discussed. And I was sitting here agreeing with the ones that were not funded. I definitely agree, and I do like that. Why they may not be funded this time, the assistance that they'll receive to do better next time, to possibly have their application approved is really great. But I love what's coming forward. Thank you, everyone, for their hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, anything else? Any parting comments before we adjourn? Oh, the meeting schedule. So
thank you. I was gonna say, no, not yet.
Schedule. Oh, I hate the meeting schedule. Okay.
Can we ask Candelaria how we need to plan based on how she wants? That's basically we go by how she needs it done based on the timelines, because it's a little thrown off with December and the things that you suggested.
What are you asking me? Sorry.
My question is, like, when you're talking about your future schedule, it's not sticking to the regular schedule.
What do you
know that you usually ask me at the end of this vote to write a synopsis of what's funded. so that you can present it to the trustees for approval. Are we not doing that, or is that? But is that happening in September, or is it happening earlier?
September.
September, because we don't have, the reason we get that, the summary, so I can present to the trustees, but we don't have any meetings until September.
Okay, so I will get that to you July, August.
Yeah, that's fine.
And in terms of anything else, I'll be working on the RFP, and I'll report on that and the timeline to get it out by December, which means you'll get it sometime in November. My
Yeah,
proposal.
but the question is, when do you need us to come together is the question.
Never. It's never good time. No.
I
I don't know. I mean, after the Board of Trustees meeting, I think it would be good maybe to have something toward like the middle of November, and that way we could go over the materials that I've created.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. So like the agenda for that one would be, let's go through the RFP for December.
Yes.
So meet in November. So November, Pamela.
Okay, I have to look at the calendar because we have a lot of other committee meetings for the trustees, and I
Okay.
have to make sure I don't conflict.
Yeah.
So I can put a couple
Okay.
of dates together and put a doodle poll out to you guys.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
And,
Yes.
and the other thing is that we didn't formally talk about it, but I need at least a couple of $1,000s if I'm going to do increased ads and that kind of thing. If we're going to do flyering, I don't know if that's something that's going to come through the library, or if that would be like my budget. Okay, I can hire whoever to do flyering, or teens work to try to reach out to a program to have teens do flyering, like at Madison Park Development Corporation. So that's the only other thing that I could see.
So what's the advertising budget that we have now?
Huh?
What's the advertising?
We did it, I think it was like $500 for one ad. So increasing that, and then usually if we have an in-person orientation, I used to buy refreshments for that. I don't know if the library communications people are going to bill me to ask them to do a flyer or postcards.
Okay, my
so
budget,
that-
I just need, Jesus Christ, sorry, the sun's driving me crazy. What is it, let's just, Larry, you need to work with the library to just get the advertising out, and what we can, what we can do, cannot do. I just want to document the budget for advertising. So in the past, we've done 500.
Well, we've done more. We've done 1,000 depending on how many ads. So again, if we want to do 2 ads, I would say that would be around 700 or so. If we want to do 3 ads, that would be a little bit more. It would be great for me to have a meeting with Diana to just go over like this is what I need. I can do as little as a budget as you give me. That means if there's only 1 ad in the banner, I had said at least two ads in the banner. We usually have done not only an ad for the RFP, but we've done an ad announcing who was funded. So I would say at least 2,000 for the ads, because we're going to announce, we're going to and advertise an RFP that'll be going out in December.
All right, can we decide on the budget? Is it 1,000?
And that's for multiple ads?
Yes, 2,000, she said.
Did we say 1,000 or 2,000?
It needs to be 2,000. It can't be 1,000. That's not enough.
So 2,000 for advertising?
But that would be that would be looking at 2 ads? Because
2 to 4 ads, depending. It would be an ad to announce what's been funded. It would be at least one, hopefully 2 ads to call out a new RFP, right? And then it's an ad to announce that as well, what was funded with the second RFP. And then it could include flyering, it could not include flyering, I don't know.
Well, I don't think we can pay students out of this for this type of work, but
Okay,
could-
so let's just do it for the ads, and you all, I'm just not, my stomach is like, I feel I want to throw up, so it's time, I gotta get off this call.
You know, so let's. do-
Sorry.
But we'll figure out, you guys need to figure out the logistic, Priscilla. So we approve, let's say, can we approve 2,000 for advertising?
yes.
Shay? Yes. Representative?
Yes, happy to support the group. Great job, everyone.
Okay, 2,000 for advertising. And then what the logistics are for advertising, can Larry reach out to the library and figure that out? Okay?
Yes, we'll make sure those meetings happen that Candelaria mentioned during this meeting with communications, business office, and having Diana help facilitate those.
Got it. Okay, so we're gonna close it out.
Yep, and I'll just schedule the next November meeting.
You got it. All righty. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Be well.